Lorraine Centennial here, back to show you the first part of a two-part series on how to create experimental papers, beautiful, creative experimental papers on wax paper, only using wax paper. As far as supplies, I will list them at the bottom of the drop-down screen. Very basic supplies. Just basically paint any kind that you wish, craft paint. You can use the fluid, you can use high veracity in a tube, although that would have to be watered down accordingly. Now what I like to do is use a paper cup to mix my paint, because if I apply it straight to the paper, which you can do, it tends to use up more paint. So I put a tiny, tiny little bit, not much, it goes a long way, in the cup, and I drop in some water. Now you can either spray it in, or you could even put just a drop or two right in, and I won't even put too much there just to show you. And you mix it with your brush to get the feel of how soupy it is. It should be like, compared maybe to skimmed milk. All right? And then you take and you begin to paint. Now if it's too thin, you might have to add more paint. If it's too thick, you might want to add more water. Now, I like to go in one direction. It's not absolutely positively that you have to go in one direction, but if you do slip up like I do, I start going in. Sometimes it will pick up your paper if your paper is partially dry. Now see these little spots here? It's separating. If that happens, just paint over it again. And even if it was left there, it wouldn't be a disaster. It would show up in the paper after it's created as part of your design. I like a little bit of coverage myself, so I will go over it at times. Now you see, that seems to be a perfect consistency for me, at least. So you just paint over it. It's the first part. And there you go. Now I work on Plexi. You'll see that in the second step. And I do work on that because I like to create large pieces of paper. My Plexi is 18 by 24 inches. You can get it in Home Depot or Lowe's, and you can, of course, have it cut to any size that you wish. And the large papers benefit me for the type of work I do because I can create anything from a very, very small 3x5 that I might put on an easel, canvas, or I can get into painting on blocks of wood, 4x4, 8x8, even 10x10, or canvases. I can work, tear it up and use it in my journal, in some journals that I'm making. I can also use it in very large pieces of artwork, which is what I like to do, that I will do on heavy watercolor paper or illustration board and then frame mat them when I'm done. And so the large piece does afford me the opportunity to have more of the same paper, so that if I'm concerned about creating balance and repetition in my work, I don't have to go searching around for small pieces to see what works for me. I have these large pieces that I can already quickly go to. And also I like to share with you that I do hang these pieces on hangers on a coat rack. So when I come into my studio, I see these papers right away. They not only inspire me, but I don't have to sort through drawers to find what I need. They're right there for me to view. Anyway, here's the finished piece. Pull it forward. It works better if you pull it forward, and then put it somewhere to dry on. Now the next step will be done directly on the Plexi, and what I have done is create several pieces of painted paper already, solid colors, so that we don't have to waste a great deal of time. So I'm going to start by placing paint. It's called ribbon paper, by the way. I gave it my own name. I'm going to start to put some of my paints down on the Plexi. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just do a nice line of different colors. I'm going to do a nice line of different colors, and you can put as much paint or as little as you wish. You'll see the stripe that this develops, or the ribbon that this develops, will be as wide or as narrow as the amount of paint that you apply. And I will use some turquoise. And then I will repeat the green again. I like green. It's one of my favorite colors, actually. And so I will lay that down again. Now, you can use any combination. You can use 2 colors if you wish. You can actually use 1 color and do this process if that strikes you as something you might want to do. Now, the next thing is to spread the paint. Now, I have a color shaper here, which is a professional painting tool that artists use, but I also bought this in the dollar store. It was $1, and it really works just as well. So you can use either or anything else that you think might be soft enough to spread. I wouldn't use a credit card because I think it takes up the paint too much. But you're going to start to spread this out. Just like so. And if the colors get a little bit mixed in there, it's not all that important. Doesn't matter. And remember, each paper will be different. Every paper I create is a surprise. Every paper you create, even though we're using the same technique, and there will be similarities in our papers, yours won't look like mine, and mine won't look like yours. And any 2 of mine won't look alike, as I said before. All right, so now you have these ribbons, the variety of color. And so you pick a color paper that you're going to use. And in my case, I decided to use, this time around, the black. So you take your black that you've already painted, and that's dry, and you put it on your Plexi on top of your paint, and just simply spread it. The beauty of these papers is that these papers actually lend themselves to creating other papers. Using these same exact papers, you can do certain things. All right, there you go. See that? And I love all those different markings that's in there. Now, what you can do with a paper like this afterwards, after it dries, you can superimpose by stamping on top of that paper, or you can take the paper and fold it up, which I will be doing in future demos. You can cut designs in the paper and then put another paper underneath. You can put a foil underneath. You can put anything else that you've created, even with your jelly, using your jelly plate, papers that you might want to adhere underneath so that they come through the design. And I will show you. I love to see these things done myself, so I would expect that you would enjoy that too. Now, the second kind of paper I'd like to show you, so you can do this a number of times. I'm going to add black. I'm going to add black to this. It's very brave of me, I think, to add black. And just anywhere. Okay? Just anywhere. And then I'm going to take, this time I'll use my color shaper. I think this will be a little bit more dramatic that I did this. All right, there you go. And now I'm going to use a white piece of paper, which I rarely use. I just started using them recently, and they're yielding some very, very beautiful papers. I'm really in love with them. I really like them a lot. And you press, you press, and you press. And let's see what happens here. Ooh, that is, now tell me that's not different. That is different than what we've already done. So that is quite beautiful, I think. I'm really partial to it. And as I said, you could stamp on top of this. Maybe you'd want to make some large circles later that or you would want to cut perhaps the designs, the paper, so that some of the things that you'd put underneath would show through. So let's try one other. I have a turquoise piece, and I will add some bronze. I think I'm going to use some bronze. I like bronze. I use a lot of that too in my work. And we'll just put some of that down. There you go. Can even maybe draw into the paint. A couple of circles. And let's see what happens with that. All right, now we're using turquoise. I'm going to put that down. Just want to show you it's so versatile, and your imagination is certainly as good as mine. I would love to see what you decide to do. And again, it is considered experimental papers and extremely cost effective, by the way, because you can get a whole roll here. I think it was like $1.30 something, $1.27 for the whole roll of wax paper. And eventually I will show you how these things are going to be used in artwork. And you won't know that they're wax paper. Okay. There you go. Beautiful. Just beautiful. I can't wait to use it. All right, so actually that's ribbon paper, and I still have more paint, which I'm going to use as soon as I say goodbye to you. But it was fun showing you. I hope you enjoyed the demo. And if you like the work and you want to see the next part of this series, will be stamping on these papers. And instead of painting them solid, we're going to be able to see through the wax paper. It will be more transparent. You will be able to see through the wax paper. There will be the stamping. I will be using masks that I make myself. They're huge, and that's why, well, I wouldn't say huge, but they're large. They're large enough to accommodate the Plexi, and they're quite beautiful because they are one of a kind. They're not store-bought. You won't see them anywhere, and they are reusable. Not only as stencils, but actually to use on your papers to adhere them to other papers. They come out so beautiful after using them several times. So I will say goodbye for now, and I hope you enjoyed the demo. And I look forward to showing you the second part of this series. And then after that, I intend to do cellophane. Cellophane on Plexi, which is another very beautiful and transparent paper. Thank you for watching. See you again soon.